corner. Fun in the sun at Muscle Beach. What does that actually mean? Well, years ago in the 40s, I believe it was, Muscle Beach was basically Santa Monica. It wasn't Venice, and I think I've said this before. And I used to go down with my parents, and I was about 14 years old. And we stayed at a hotel called the Kensington, and if you walked down the walkway behind the hotel, it took you right to the ocean, right to the sand and all that. And they had a boardwalk, and they had trams that held about 12 people that go back and forth between the piers, between Ocean Park and Santa Monica. And for like a nickel, you could ride them and save you from walking all that way. But if you came down that boardwalk and you went onto the beach, that was considered Muscle Beach. They had a big wooden platform, they had a bunch of weights, they had rings, they had chin-up bars and gymnastics, and they had all kinds of sports going on, which made it fun in the sun, which is what they call it. You sit out, you get a suntan, you go take a swim in the ocean, you work out on the rings, you work out on the bars, and then they had their beach contests, their bodybuilding contests, where there was just strictly physique. They had physique and women had the old-fashioned bathing suits on. Guys were really well built, not like today, but they were well built. And then you had like Steve Reeves and a lot of the famous bodybuilders from back then in the 50s doing that. There was a hamburger stand called Honest John's, who was a wrestler at the Olympic Auditorium, and he flipped the burgers himself with a big handlebar mustache and a big hairy chest. And those burgers, I've got to tell you something. They were like homemade burgers in this little stand, and they were the best burger I think I ever had in my life. Really good. You could smell them all the way down the beach. Well, fun in the sun meant, the families would come down, they lay on the beach, they go for a swim, they take their little kids, they go into the water, into the ocean with the kids, and they come back, lay in a towel, and play cards or whatever, and just have a great time. And then they'd have the weightlifting contest, they'd have the bodybuilding contest, and people would watch them work out. And if you look at the weights and the benches, they were very, very prehistoric. They were like wooden benches, and the dumbbells that you had to put together with collars. But people built their bodies on those. They actually did it, and they had good results. So this went on for many, many years, and then it advanced, and they got a little bit better weights down there, and they had a little bit bigger weightlifting platform, and they still drew crowds. I mean, everybody would come. Let's go down to Muscle Beach and watch all the guys that lift weights and all the muscle men. They called them muscle men, not bodybuilders. And it drew a big crowd. And then when he got to, I forget what year it was, they closed down Muscle Beach. They had a couple of problems with some of the bodybuilders down there and young girls, which they didn't want to do. They didn't want them there. They said they're a bad element. So then they moved everything behind a hotel, about 2 blocks up underneath in the parking, and then they moved it from there down to Venice Beach where the pit is. Now, Venice Beach became Muscle Beach. It had a very, very small weightlifting area with a chain link fence around it. Didn't have a whole lot of stuff. It had a bench press, squat, inclines, chin-up bars, and a few things like that, and some dumbbells, but that was about it. And a little shed they kept them in, and that would only cost you like $3 a year because it was owned by the city. And as I've said before in some of my videos, we would work out there, and then we lay on the lawn or the sand right next to that, and that's where we get our sun. Then we walk down the walkway to the water and get a swim in the ocean and come back and lay in the sand. So it's evolved over the years. It's not the same thing. And someone says, would you like to go back and live there? I said, no, I had my time, and it was good then, but now it's the public has really kind of ruined it. It's got a really bad element. There's a lot of homeless, there's a lot of gangs, there's a lot of murders at night, and just not a good place to be. Back 50s, 60s, 70s when I lived down there, you could walk the beach at night and nothing would ever happen to you. It was safe as could be. And then you had Ocean Park Pier, which was an entertainment pier that had a merry-go-round and a Ferris wheel and a roller coaster and fun house. It had everything you could possibly want, and you could go and use everything for a quarter, even pizza for a quarter. And the Dome Theater where you could get in and watch a big movie. I saw King Kong there. But that's all gone. It all burnt down and it's all gone. But I just wanted to show you this little clip of some of this stuff. It's good memories of what it used to be, and everything in life changes, and it's just not what it was, and I'm sorry to say that. It's evolved into something that I don't even know how to describe it anymore. They have their contest on the weekend, like on the holidays. I don't even go down there. It's so crowded, you can't even get a parking spot, and if you do, you've got to walk for blocks and blocks and blocks, even to get down to the weightlifting pit. So that's my take on fun in the sun in California. I mean, you can still do it, but you might want to go to a different beach up north a little bit to zoom to somewhere where it's not so crowded. You won't have the weightlifters and the bodybuilders, but you'll at least have a lot of sand to yourself if you want that. Alright guys, thanks for watching Rick's Corner, and that's my story for today. See you next time. Hope you enjoyed the video brought to you by Old School Labs. Use my discount code DRASIN12 on the link below at oldschoollabs.com. Hey everyone, now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drasin, personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world, and I'm the guy that drew it, and I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrasin.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal, and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interest as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
He's the equalizer, baby. See you next time.